Wondering.
Hello everyone, welcome again to K Podcast. Yeah, I know I hadn't done a video the last time. I have been feeling a little bit down, but I am fine. I'm definitely fine. So today we are gonna be talking about this various topic. It goes with the penalty of forgery when it comes to pregnancy. For those that haven't heard about it, I'm gonna bring up the video, and also child birth certificate being signed with a DNA. Um, and this is the thing. I feel like everybody should be held accountable. If you are to be held accountable, you should not escape it. I don't feel like anybody should feel less accountable for their intake on anything, especially when it comes to do with your life, in relationship or in child rearing and in marriage. So I'm gonna bring up this first video here, and then we're gonna go down to it. We're gonna go right down to this whole topic. So let me bring this first video over here, and I'm gonna, as well as normally, give you my commentary on this.
Guess what? House Bill 2680.
So they're announcing what is happening in Tennessee, and I want everybody to pay attention. Everyone, especially women. And for this particular topic, I am gonna give my honest opinion, by the way. Yeah.
All right, so those of you who are in Tennessee, guess what? House Bill 2689 is getting ready to pass. That is requiring paternity tests before you sign the birth certificate. Because, when people do paternity tests, 1/3 of the time, they end up not being the father. And if they start testing everybody, that number can only go up, not down. It's going to be dramatic. And right now, they're starting to also add in things like, maternity fraud is a crime and a punishable crime. So guys used to go to jail for not paying child support on a child that wasn't theirs because the state wants to get their money, because if there is no father to pay for the child support, somebody has to pay for it. So they push it onto the nearest person that could be a father figure. And they're actually starting to jail time the ladies for maternity fraud because it is such a rampant crime.
Okay. Before she gives her intake in this, I'm gonna just give my own intake first. And I'm gonna say this: getting a DNA test before signing the birth certificate, I absolutely understand that part, and I am not against it. I am not. I am not against it, because if somebody is gonna lie to you and tell you, oh, that's your child, and then you find out later on it's not your kid and you've been paying child support for a long time, I feel like it's unfair. I am gonna be sincere, and I am gonna say it is absolutely unfair. So having the DNA test before signing the birth certificate, I understand that. Because if it was the other way around for women, I would be like, if the man have to carry the child and the woman have to know if it is her child, I would be like, yes, she should find out too if that is her child. So I'm not going against this one. And for paternity fraud, I'm gonna say this: I support that too. Yes, I absolutely support that too. If you find out that the kid was not yours, she should have known. Or let's say this: if she is younger, I can give her the benefit of the doubt for not knowing who the father of the child is. That is terrible. But she should have done the math and told all of you to get a DNA test so she can find out which one it is. And I think she should have also consulted some adults to, I mean, not, I'm not saying for a child, I'm saying for somebody around, when I mean younger, I mean 18 years, older, 18 upwards, to find out who is, you know, the daddy. And I am not against this either. I'm not. Because there are some women out here, not all, not a lot of women. In percentage, when we have to put it, there is a very, very small number of women that do that. Very small number, very, very small number of women that do that, that would go, and it actually does create uh you know fear in the mind of a lot of men when they procreate, when they have these children, and they start doubting, oh, did this happen to me too? And I am gonna say this, I'm somebody that have witnessed this. And that's why I think, yes, if you are being fraudulent and you've been getting child support and that child was not his, and you definitely knew that it was not his, yeah, I think, yeah, you should save some time too. Absolutely. You should. You should save some time, especially if you knew. Because this is the thing. I've told you guys, I've lived in Kenya for a long time, for approximately 2, 3 years when I was there with my hubby. And there was this girl, she got pregnant and with a man that was from Germany, and the kid looked absolutely not one thing. And I'm not gonna say that every child that is mixed looks mixed, no. But if they are mixed, sometimes the skin tone might not show it, but you will definitely find something that looks like the dad. There is always something that looks like the dad. This child looked absolutely nothing like the dad. So he decided to get this DNA test to find out. And then it came out, well, it was not a surprise to all of us that the child wasn't his, but he was paying for a long time. And she knew, later on, we found out she knew who the daddy was. But the daddy was somebody that was not paying a dime. He just got her pregnant and just moved on. And then she just told this man that it was his child. And this man had been paying for a long time. Hello, Sun and Sunflower. Hi, girl. So he had been paying for a long time. And I'm going to say this, as a human being, I was absolutely, I'm not going to say I was not happy, because this was somebody that we knew for a long time, and she's been dating this man for a very, very long time. Like, literally, she knew this man before I was even in my relationship. She knew this man for a long time. The man that she told that was the daddy from Germany. She told the German guy that you are the dad. And she knew this man before I even met my partner, for a long, long time. And the guy that was responsible for the pregnancy, she knew him like not long. She was just going around, enjoying her life, got pregnant, decided she was gonna put it on this guy so that she can, suck out the money from him. And what's part of it, we found out that the father of that child, she had used the money from the German man, from the European man, and she had built a shop, a store, and literally built him up. So when we found out about this, that it was not a surprise for the rest of us. But when the DNA test came out, because a lot of people had been telling him, even the locals have been telling him, that kid is not yours. That kid is not. So imagine the locals coming to you and being like, I don't think that kid is yours. I don't think that kid is yours. Everybody around, everybody that saw the kid was like, I don't think that one is yours. But this man was 10 toes down. He said, that's mine. He's mine. Until the day he went to get the paternity test. And then it came out 100% that it was not his. So he decided, you know what, we're going to break up this relationship. And she was like, oh, I just want you to help me. So he went out one time. She literally swept up his apartment. There was not even one furniture. Nothing. Not the dishes, not nothing was left in that man's house. You get me? He had to buy everything new. She took everything. At the end of the day, the guy that was the father of the child kicked out. So I definitely stand with this one. Go check it out. If it's yours, yes. I'm not going to be against that one. I'm not. It's not me. Now, but I feel like when we are talking about this whole situation, I hope after the paternity test and the DNA test, he pays for what he owes. Because I hear a lot of baby mamas out there crying about not getting child support. So everybody got to take accountability. Everybody needs to take accountability at the end of the day. So let me play this. Let me hear what this lady got to say.
Time the ladies for maternity fraud because it is such a rampant crime.
So I don't agree with a lot that they do in politics, but I agree with this one. The hustle is over. The scams are done in the state of Tennessee. And I know some of y'all feel like, well, why should we have to do all of this? They should trust me because y'all be lying. The women be lying. And if you know that this is his baby without a shadow of a doubt, husband, boyfriend, baby daddy, it don't matter who it is. Let them go on and get that paternity test, sis. If you on the up and up, it shouldn't bother you. And for all of those women out there faking pregnancy to scam men, ooh, y'all big mad now, ain't you?
Yeah, you shouldn't be faking pregnancy to do anything. Now let's get into this video because yeah, I got a lot to say. I don't know which video to bring up first. You know what? Let me bring up this one over here first. Let me bring up this one here.
Higher rates than we've previously. Did you know that couples aged 50 and older are getting divorced at higher rates than we've previously seen? And even higher in couples aged 65 and older. The 50 and older crowd makes up a quarter of all divorces in the US right now. This has been and continues to be a growing phenomenon, and I want to discuss why that might be. Because if we look at this information and pair it with the fact that women file for 70% of all divorces, how men who are married live longer than men who aren't, and how all of that might be leading us to where we are right now. I saw this story on CNN and they're interviewing a divorce attorney, and here is what one of her clients specifically said and quoted. I had one client tell me, I do not want to die next to that man. I'm out. First, let's talk about why the 50 and older crowd might be deciding to divorce later in life. This excerpt from the American Bar Association, it talks about some reasons as to why. And most often it happens when couples become empty nesters and realize that raising children was what was keeping them together. The second is...
So, now that we've talked about the paternity test and the DNA testing, this one over here caught my eye. I'm like, yeah, because like I said to you guys last time, I see couples around the age of 70 that were not married for a long time, 70s, 60s, 80s, going on their first date. That's why I talked about the age thing last time. And I said, hey, they might tell you you've hit the wall. No, you haven't. So there are people that are married for over 35 years getting divorced because the woman is tired. So I'm gonna let it play out. I'm gonna let this whole video play out, and where I feel like I need to put my own intake, I'm just gonna put my intake there.
That's due to a longer life expectancy. Couples are finding themselves in their 50s and 60s unhappy with 20 to 40 more years left to live, and they don't want to do it their way. They don't want to be complacent. They've got a short window of time left, and they are no longer going to waste it. So what does this information and the information that women initiate 70% of divorces have to do with each other? In this piece from the BBC, they say that how partners do or don't meet their emotional needs in marriage. Yet it might be a little bit more complicated. There might be a little bit more nuance. So what might that be? I talked to Heidi Carr, a psychologist and expert on domestic violence at the U.S. Education Development Center, and she explains that there's no coincidence that the rise of divorce has coincided with women's liberation. Economic independence is an imperative before a woman can attempt to leave a marriage. Either alone or with children to support, it's extremely difficult for women to leave a marriage unless they have some way to make money on their own. Did you know that 75% of women between the ages of 25 and 54 were working? So more women are independent when it comes to making their own money. Whereas 40, 50 years ago, that was not the case. Not only that, but no-fault divorce wasn't even legal. Not to mention that women couldn't even have their own checking accounts. So in other words, women's entry into the workforce enabled them to leave unhappy marriages for the first time. They were no longer financially bound to remain in abusive partnerships or relationships where their needs were not being met, and women thus began to initiate divorces at a greater scale. What was that piece about women's emotional needs not being met? A lot of the times for divorce, the expectation is that they have when they enter marriage may fail to match reality. Women have a higher expectation of how a partner will meet their emotional needs than men, which can lead to disappointment post-wedding. This license-based therapist who specializes in conflict resolution says men are usually socialized to have lower emotional intelligence than women, and it can lead to female partners feeling unsupported and doing much of the emotional labor in their relationships. Let's see what else she had to say. This also means that women are more finely attuned to problems in relationship red flags, and their tendency to be the primary communicators and empathizers means that they may also be the first to raise issues. Women also tend to gain fewer emotional benefits from marriage, which we've already known for a very long time that men benefit from marriage way more than women do. We know that women who have previously been married.
Oh, sorry, my microphone was off this whole time I was talking. So I've had women literally when it comes to emotional yeah, thank you, Sun and Sunflower. Thank you very much for letting me know. Yeah, I've literally had when it comes to emotional support part, I've had women come out and be like, yeah, when they want to bring up these issues, especially when it's serious, they're like, oh, it's that time of the month. It's your time of the month, you know, and being totally gaslighted. Being totally gaslighted to feel like, oh, because, it's that time of the month, so you are in that, zone. You're not in the normal zone. You're not in the normal zone of taking whatever I throw to you. So they literally have this. I've seen, and this happens mostly to married women. I'm not going to say people that are in relationship are not facing this, but married women have this problem because many of the time they feel like their partners are not listening to them. Because every time they bring out, they'll be like, oh, it's hormones. Oh, it's this. It's that time of the month. It's menopause. Instead of literally listening to what is happening. So, yes, it's going to lead to divorce. I've seen people married for 35 years and upward get divorced. And I'm going to tell you something. I have a video over here of a divorce attorney talking about somebody in their 90s getting divorced. And I'm going to play that clip. I got it over here. I got it here. We're going to talk about that. Let me continue this clip.
Have more leisure time and more downtime to fulfill their hobbies. Married men experience multiple perks, including living longer and earning more money. Women don't usually benefit from their relationships in the same way. Instead, they bear the brunt of household and child-rearing labor, which can leave working women overwhelmed and stressed and depressed and anxious. Now, why do single women live longer, happier lives than single men?
Because they don't have stress. That question, whenever people always talk about this, I'm like, there's no stress. She doesn't have to look at after the man child. That's why she doesn't have to look after the man child. That's why she's living her life. She's enjoying herself. The only person she got to take care of is herself. That's why.
We also tend to have more close friends than men, meaning we have better support systems both to discuss any marital issues as well as to ease the transition back into single life. In this piece from Harvard Health, we learned that studies over the past 150 years say just how much healthier men and marriages are. Married men enjoy better health than their single, divorced, or widowed peers. Mental health is most prominent. Married men have a lower risk of depression and a higher likelihood of satisfaction with life in retirement than their unmarried peers. Harvard study reported that socially isolated men have an 82% higher risk of dying from heart disease compared with men who have strong interpersonal relationships. The New England Research Institute reported that 66% of men rely on their wives for their primary social supports. Men don't have the types of relationships that women have. When they get divorced, they're lonely. They're isolated. It's harder for them to transition back into the world of singlehood than it is for women.
I had a lady on TikTok talking about how a man in his 50s can transition because his wife has been taking care of him for a long time, and now, somebody tweeted that he's not taking care of himself. How can he transition into manhood because he's been stuck in malehood? But I say malehood, but because he's been stuck in boyhood. That's what the person said in TikTok, that like he's been stuck in boyhood and he's like 50s. I'm like, no, that's not boyhood, because a boy lands. He's been stuck in malehood. There is a difference. He's been stuck in malehood, and now in his 50 years, as a 50 something years old man, his wife finally left, and he doesn't know how to take care of himself. How can he transition? And I'm like, he's in the 50s range. If you didn't learn in your 20s how to grow, 30s no, 40s no. At this point, you might have to start seeking every other man that is actually a man, that is, even men that are younger, that are taking care of their family. Because when you are stuck in malehood, there is a difference than being a man. And a lot of people do not understand this. There is malehood, there's being stuck as a boy, there is a boy. A boy grows up and becomes a man, but in the middle there is a male hood in there. But when you transition, there is malehood when you have your tantrums and all of that, and then you learn a little bit, and then you transition into manhood. A lot of them do not get that.
Going to continue to see older women and women of all ages forego marriage and continue to initiate divorce at an older age because of financial independence. This piece from the BBC also says the strife men face initially after divorce is short-lived, whereas women continue to suffer from more chronic long-term effects, including the loss of home ownership, reduced financial means, and increased stress from life as a single parent. But even in spite of those, only 27% of women said they regret getting a divorce. Women are willing to forgo these hardships, forgo not having a stable place to live, to forgo possibly having to raise their children on their own with little financial support, and yet they're still initiating these divorces because getting a divorce outweighs having to stay in a marriage with a person who does not meet their emotional needs. They still continue to carry the emotional, domestic labor and childcare burden, and they're tired of it. I think we're continuing to see these strides from women's liberation women's independence, financial freedom, women getting higher education, women's less dependence on men, or less support that they need from men, and that they are no longer willing to sacrifice that happiness simply for stability's sake, or simply for the children, or even after the children have gone and they're empty nesters. They realize they have no connection other than the kids that bound them together.
Okay, I'm gonna say this. I'm gonna say something very important here. What I'm about to say is very important to ladies. Let's not forget, if he has a house, let's say he has a house. If you sign, what do they call it? Forgotten the name. Probably gonna come back to me before you get married, what is it called again? You know what? It's gonna come back to me. It's a little bit late now. So let's say you get married to a man and you never signed that, and you went into the normal Christian marriage and all of that, traditional marriage and all of that. Normally the man has the house, is his home, and let's say he kicks you out, and then what? Prenup. Yeah, thank you very much, Sona Sunflower, for reminding me. You sign a prenup that says he keeps everything that he has, which means if he already had a home, he gets to keep it. You get to walk out. And there are a lot of women that signed prenup and got nothing. They got nothing because they're like, I want to show him that I love him and I want nothing from him. And I am okay with just loving him, forgetting themselves because they want to show the love. But the love is not shown back, because once a man brings up a prenup and knows that he earns more than you, that shows you he wants to keep everything to himself. That's why I always tell women, if he brings up a prenup, say okay, but bring your lawyer in there. Tell him, you know what, you want a prenup? I agree with a prenup, because once you get your lawyer involved, your lawyer is going to evaluate all the things that is being written in the prenup. Get yourself a lawyer. And I'm not going to tell ladies to be like, oh no, don't sign prenups. Tell him, I'm going to sign the prenup, but I'm going to have to get my own lawyer. And if you're a woman that have a business as well, get a prenup too. Get your lawyer and get a prenup. And if you're going to be a stay-home mom, if you're going to be a woman that is going to be a stay-home mom, and you're going to be taking care of the household without a job, get a lawyer. Get a lawyer to read that prenup and make sure that it benefits you. I've had a lot of men, come up with this prenup thing, and very smart women. I'm pretty sure if you're an old subscriber of mine, you know exactly what my man does and what business is into, but I'm not going to say it again. I've seen with my own two eyes. Well, man wants a prenup. When the woman comes and say, you know what, I'm going to sign it, but I want my lawyer to read all this prenup, all this agreement that you've written over here, and make sure that it's beneficial for me. All of a sudden, it's like, we don't want a prenup. Because then it's a written word for what he has to agree to when you are separated. And when you are divorced, what he has to pay. Because normally the lawyers make sure that even if you are divorced, you are not left with nothing. So if he brings up the prenup, I say go for it, but bring your lawyer along. Get a lawyer and bring him along. Yeah. So now I'm going to go to this other video over here. Let me see over here. Okay. Let me bring up this video. And we're going to talk about this.
Was a guy who was, I think, 92.
So listen to this emotional topic over here. Just listen to this emotional topic, because this is a lawyer explaining that it doesn't matter the age. Men can still decide if they feel like you're too old to take. I feel like, for me, if they feel like you're too old to take care of them, or they feel less attracted to you, it does not matter the age. You can be married for 45 years. He can still decide to divorce you. You get me? You can be married for 45 years. As long as you two are still alive, if he finds you unattractive, he can still decide to divorce you. It doesn't matter if you're married for 2 months, 45 years, 100 years. If he decides that, you know what, I'm not attractive to you anymore, he can still decide to divorce you. It doesn't matter. That's why I always say age. No, that's just, whenever I hear people talking about if you get to the age of 30, you've hit the wall. I'm like, no, you didn't hit the wall. They just want you to do a lot for that. Because it doesn't matter the age, they can still file for divorce.
I'll tell you, one of the most depressing divorces I ever did was a guy who was, I think, 92.
Oh, geez.
Wow.
And what made it depressing is that he had left his wife of, I don't know, 50-something, 60-something years for a younger woman, a woman.
Did you catch that? Did you guys catch that? 90-something years. Wife of 50-something years. He left his wife of 50-something years. Are you guys catching that? You get that? Yeah. Yeah. That's what I'm talking about. So that's why when I see women that are out here being single, I'm like, no, I don't care. Enjoy your life while you can. Do whatever you want while you can. Do not settle. So I'm going to play this clip again from the start.
I'll tell you, one of the most depressing divorces I ever did was a guy who was, I think, 92.
Oh, geez.
Wow.
And what made it depressing is that he had left his wife of, I don't know, 50-something, 60-something years for a younger woman, a woman in her 50s. And I just remember what was sad about it to me was this guy is still being led around by his dick. Like, I thought, oh my God, like, I'm gonna be chained to an idiot forever. Like, I'm gonna forever be led around by my dick. And I remember thinking, like, no, I really thought that at like 90-something, I would just, like, a beautiful woman would walk by and I go, oh, there's a human being. Like, there would be no...
You can appreciate it without...
Yeah, there would just be no sense of like, yeah, you know, that would be gone from me. And this guy's proof that 90-something years old and you're still thinking with your dick. Like,
Wow.
We're doomed.
that terrified me. It really did. It actually upset me because I thought, man, I thought at some point I'd get to experience what it's like to just be free from...
You live in...
Yeah, you guys catch that? For all the ladies in their 30s and above, you catch that? Did you catch that? It doesn't matter if you're with him for 50-something years. It does not matter. Did you catch that? That's why when they be gaslighting women, they telling women that if you're 30 years old, when you get 25, you're almost hitting the wall. 30, you're hitting the wall. It does not matter. The goalpost will always be shifted. You get me? Now I'm going to play a video of a guy getting caught and his girlfriend telling him to leave. Now this video over here, I was like, are you serious? You got caught and this is your reaction? Okay.
No, you scared my cat. You got to go. You got to go.
There's no man sorrier than a man who realizes that you're about to kick him out of your house. He's gonna cry with no tears, yell, scream, beg, hit himself, try to act like he has thoughts of self-harm. He's going to try to pull on your heartstrings. He's going to bring on all the dramatics, all of the theatrics. He's bringing it all out. Now, all of a sudden, he's promising you the world. I will never do it again. I'm going to act right. I'm going to be perfect. And he might even actually do that for a while. Then he'll go back to his same old ways. Don't fall into all of this act. This is fake. None of this is real. He's only doing this because he has no place to stay. Because the girl he was probably cheating with is not going to let him in her house. These fake tears are not from a man who's sorry. These are from a man who's scared.
Yeah, and the scared tactics has been working for a long time now, for centuries. Okay, this is another interesting video over here that I'm going to be bringing up, and it's very, very interesting. So let me bring it up.
Problem of the brain in the male species occurs in judges, it occurs in politicians, it occurs right across every spectrum, because it isn't a class issue, it's not a religious problem, it's a brain disorder in men.
All men? Are you saying it's all men?
Absolutely, Chrissy, and myself as well. I am a man and I have aggressive male instincts. And the only difference perhaps between me and my own darker self is that I have the ability to admit that to myself. And then I want to confront it. And I want to ask myself, why would I, and why maybe if I could access them, why would I have sexual violent fantasies towards women? Why do I need that? Why do I feel the need to put women down? Why do I have the need to think of them as inferior? And I can come up with some kind of psychological explanation and say yes, because I don't have a relationship with life as a man. I have not got the same relational ability as women who are bio-wired to give birth to babies, to raise them up. Men never do that. They don't come close. We don't have the brain wiring to do life, and we don't have the brain wiring to do relationship. Those, for men, are acquired traits, and it comes through a huge amount of relational interaction, and thank God, through psychology and psychoanalysis, we can now start asking questions. Men can start asking themselves questions that have never been asked before about why are we so violent as a species?
I don't think I need to add more about that. No, the thing is, there are some men that are doing work on themselves. And I'm not gonna not give them credit for that. There are some men out here that are doing work on themselves. There are some men out here that understand. And nowadays, I feel like the more women speak, the more some of the understanding ones do try to look for what is the problem. There are some men out here that are trying to correct, that. But there's so many ignorant ones out here that are just powering out and talking and trying to gaslight instead of looking into themselves. So now I'm going to bring up this last video over here, because this is the last video. I think I showed this guy video last time, but this particular video is about, a woman asking him what he's searching for in a woman. And I want you guys to listen to this.
A pretty taste.
What does it take to be your girlfriend? I'm not interested. I'm just wondering.
A pretty taste, a pretty face, some big old titties, and a fat ass.
And that's all it takes to be his girlfriend. Not his queen, but his girlfriend. Polyclowns 101. Let's get into the girlfriends. Now, like I said before, I used to be a polyclown, but I also used to be a dancer, and I'm older, so I know all about this shit. Listen to mama. I know what I'm talking about. I also want to help y'all with y'all's questions on live, and to do that, you need to better understand him. So the average person thinks that when a guy calls a girl his girlfriend, that she has a significant title. Sean knows that, and he uses that to mask his image. How does he do that? I'll explain. In another video, I explained that polyclown dudes want everyone to think that they have a decent moral compass. Part of that is not having people think that they sleep around. So what he does before he sleeps with anyone is he gives them a title of a girlfriend. This could be the day he wants to sleep with them because he did it with Olivia. Therefore, it's nothing to call a woman his girlfriend. He hands that title out like business cards. And of course, giving a woman the title of a girlfriend makes them feel all warm and tingly inside, so yeah, they're gonna sleep with him on the first date. Notice how in another live, he said that while Shanice was deployed, he had like 40 girlfriends and cut it down to 16. And tomorrow he can break up with her. It's putting sugar and shit. Speaking of which, this whole thing about coffee dates, that's just a way to try to make it seem corporate and classy when it's really ratchet. Because when one woman on live asked him what kind of coffee did he have on his coffee date, he was stumped because it wasn't no coffee. A girlfriend title means nothing to a polyclown dude like this. Just know that.
And that's the end of this particular podcast over here. I hope you all enjoyed it. And don't forget to support the channel. Don't forget to press the like button and subscribe. And I will see you all on the next one. Do not forget to press that like button as usual. Leave your commentary respectfully. Because yes, I do delete comments. And if you're annoying me enough, yes, I'm definitely blocking. Now I will see you all on the next one. Have a great day. Yeah, I'm getting some sleep, girl. Yeah, I'm definitely, because like, yeah, I definitely made this video a little bit late when I, had the time, So I'm gonna say this. You all have a great day, and I will see you all next time. Have a great day and goodbye.